I think music in games is very underrated, and a soundtrack, when done right, plays a very important role into making us fall in love with the narrative and the characters of a game. A great example of that is Final Fantasy XIV, a game whose lore and story has been hugely enhanced by the musical genius of its lead composer, Masayoshi Soken. If you're not new to this channel, then it might not be a news to you that I'm very fascinated with the 14 soundtracks, but today I want to dive deeper in that by talking about the top 5 recurring themes of FF14 and what they mean musically and in terms of story. These are not in any particular order, although I'm gonna leave the most recurring one for last. Stay until the end of the video to find out what it is. These are the first few notes that we actually hear when starting this expansion for the first time, straight from its opening cinematic. As the lyrics suggest, this melody represents the road that we walk. Lost in the flood, in a whole new world, full of new dangerous threats, and with a heavy heart for the danger that we left in our world of Eorzea. This theme is quite sad and dramatic, but it also accompanies us on the good time, appearing in a major key. That happens, for example, the first time that we find Sanctuary in the gates of the city of the Crystarium. It also reappears, but darker and sadder, when we go travel on the outside to discover the state in which the world of the source is in. My favorite iteration of this theme, though, are the epic renditions of it, which play during the moments where the game reminds us that we need to walk this lost road with the determination of the warrior of light, or in this case, warrior of darkness. However, also in the midst of that epicness, this specific melody doesn't fail to sound still vulnerable and quite sad and dramatic, because the Shadowbringers story is quite conflicted. And when you face certain bosses, you still feel that sense of like, what the hell is happening? That type of vulnerability is usually represented by these vocals. Speaking of conflict, there is a moment where I realized this theme is actually much bigger and much more important than I thought. It happens on the culmination of our journey in the world of the source. After we take in the stories and the heartbreaking truths that lie within every single character that we meet, we are finally faced with the final boss. And as soon as that fight starts, we hear this. It's quite epic, but also freaking sad. On that moment, I felt sad for the story of the Crystal Exarch, for the story of Ardbert, his companions, and for the story of the Ascians. This melody is about all the single heartbreak in every single life that we touched in this game, as a culmination in this moment, where the struggle between the final boss and the warrior of darkness is gonna determine who writes his story. That was so beautifully put, and it was so sad to defeat this boss. Once again, it made me feel like I did when I faced the final boss in Bloodborne. A fun trivia about this theme is that the first 4 notes that it starts with are identical to the first 4 notes that the Heavensward theme starts with. The Heavensward theme is another recurring theme in the game, but I'm not going to talk about it in this video because there's 4 other themes I want to talk about. However, if this video does well, I might do more of this kind of series, and then we will take up the Heavensward theme, and maybe even Wayward Daughter, who knows. kind of make us feel like we entered a place of great importance. And indeed, it is. Ishgard is a place whose history is brimming with tales of dragons, knights, heroes. Sounds sort of like the tales of the Middle Age in the real world. The very medieval flair of Ishgard is represented in the music as well. Soken did a great job at this by using mostly organs and harpsichords, instruments that were very popular in the Middle Ages in the church and in the royal courts. We also find the melody being played by flutes and lutes, which sound medieval still, but more for the common folk. There is also a very heartwarming piano version of the Ishgard theme that plays in the city at night. This is probably my favorite iteration of this melody because I used to listen to it all the time when I was in Ljubljana in Slovenia, and I felt like I was in Ishgard. But I digress. Now, on the epic side of the theme, we hear this in the scenes that represent the real heroes of Ishgard. There's also choral versions of this theme that are played whenever the Archbishop or the Knights of the Round are mentioned. Gives also a sense of like holiness or sacredness, and it makes sense because we're talking about the Pope and the warriors of the church basically. However, the apex of the Ishgard theme is heard when we fight the Bane of Ishgard, an ancient dragon called Nidhogg, fueled by undying rage, hatred, and a blinding thirst for vengeance towards the people who actually caused the Dragon Song War due to their betrayal, the Ishgardians. Imagine this dragon hating this race for 1,000 years. Well, the sound of his rage is sort of like this. Imagine if you stepped on a Lego and after 1,000 years you still hate the freaking Lego brick with all of yourself. The very last iteration of this piece in Heaven's Ward is heard when the war is over. We have this moment of recollection and it's being performed by a beautiful intimate piano. Okay guys, the next theme is so important I had to write it down last night before going to bed. It's like, what? Okay, the next theme is... Okay, no, I'm not gonna give the spot to this one, okay? No, it's not even that recurring, but... God, I don't know about you guys, but it only took me one listen to this track to have it internalized in my brain to the point that I cannot stop hearing it. It's there. It's recurring in my brain. Oh my God, please help. Oh, sorry about that. Let's resume with the themes and forget about life. Fuck, I did it again. Fuck. Now the next theme actually appears a bit less than other themes that I won't talk about in this video, but I feel it's more important than most because I believe it's the certified Warrior of Light main theme. We hear it the first time in the Praetorium. That was back in Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, and in the Praetorium, the theme is just foreshadowing at the huge struggle that is about to happen, because it's there that we are at the apex of our journey as the Warrior of Light in A Realm Reborn, and we are faced with Ultima Weep. The The reason why I say it's the Warriors of Light theme rather than Ultima Weapon's theme are the Latin lyrics. Someone on the internet said that those lyrics are something on the lines of Una pugnamus unitis, una morimum unitis crystalli, which translates to we fight together, we die together by the crystal. Is that representing the Warrior of Light? Well, for sure, unless Ultima Weapon has multiple personalities. Could also be the case. Also, we hear this theme again when we fight Omega Weapon. That final iteration right there is one of my favorite orchestrations in the Final Fantasy series. We also hear this theme, by the way, when we fight the Warriors of Darkness, a group of warriors who very dangerously threaten to destroy our world as we know it. And upon defeating them and talking with the leader, Ardbert, we actually discovered that they're not so different from us. It just so happens that the instructions they were given to save themselves was to destroy yours, yeah. The final version of Maker's Ruin is used to hint at the uncanny similarity between the souls of the Warrior of Light and Ardbert. Indeed, it plays in Shadowbringers when we meet Ardbert again and we talk with him, and he tells us about his life experiences, his traumas, and his mistakes. And whenever he does that, we hear the sad version of Maker's Ruin filling the room with sadness. Almost as if the feels in Ardbert's story weren't enough to already make us cry like babies, you know? No worries for Enix. But truly, after hearing Maker's Ruin in the most epic moments in the game and having it become my #1 hype song in Eorzea, it was very shocking for me personally to hear it in such a sad way. It's almost like seeing that invincible character in a book that faced all kinds of struggles and came out victorious all the time, suddenly crack and succumb to the weight of being human. It's very shocking, but it also reminds you that deep down, we are all the same. The most recurring theme in Final Fantasy XIV is the prelude. Yeah, you saw this coming. In fact, it is the Final Fantasy anthem that everyone recognizes, as usually the notes in the prelude are the first ones that you hear in every FF game that you play. Final Fantasy XIV is no exception to that, as in the title screen, we often hear different variants of the prelude. You might have noticed though that each version sounds quite darker or brighter depending on the expansion, almost as if it's like a foreshadowing for the feels that are about to come, and indeed, it doesn't surprise me that the Heavensward one is the darkest and most somber of them all because of what happens in that expansion. But I'm sorry, I still haven't recovered. Sorry. The different nods to the prelude are often heard in the most epic moments in the game. Almost as if Soken was trying to tell you, hey, remember you're playing a motherfucking Final Fantasy game, bruh! I thought it was over. No. There's more. If you had to drink a shot whenever you heard the Final Fantasy arpeggio while playing Final Fantasy XIV, not even the best white mage could resurrect you out of that hangover at all. There's more. The prelude appears even in chill moments, almost making the idea of escaping this beautiful arpeggio impossible while you're playing Final Fantasy XIV. No. Wait. I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna close this video now because it's over and the information is all given to you. Well, you can do that actually. No one likes to watch outros. I even forgot to record this outro for the same reason. I'm here editing the video. It took like 30 hours or something to create this beast because it's full of jokes and clips and music, and it was freaking crazy process that actually took me time from actually doing the work that brings me money, which is composing music. Here with the studio I have here, I make music here. I used to make music for movie trailers, stuff like Avengers Endgame, John Wick Chapter 2, we did that. But I love video game music way more than I love trailer music. And I'm so happy to see so many people loving what I have to say about video game music. And I really want to give you guys even more value. But the only way I can do that more frequently is if you support me. I know it sounds freaking lame, but you can support me over Patreon if you want to see even more of these videos and get some crazy rewards just for you, like me shouting you out in the video and also getting access to making requests that I will listen to and make videos about. Next track is gonna be from Bloodborne actually, because someone requested that on Patreon. It's gonna be Ludwig the Holy Blade, so if you're into that, subscribe to this channel. If you're not into that, maybe you already stopped watching this video before, so yeah, I'll see you in the next one, and if you watched till now, thank you for being a legend. Bye.